detective storyline in Ghost Recon 2026, or why many people didn't get Breakpoint. Let me say right away, this is probably the weirdest video about Ghost Recon 2026 Project Over you've ever seen, but the reason why it might actually be interesting for you? I think this is exactly the direction the next Ghost Recon 2026 will go, and I haven't seen anyone on YouTube even talk about this. Actually didn't look for it. In the previous video, I talked about gameplay elements that pretty obviously could show up in Ghost Recon 2026. But now, it's about something no less important, the atmosphere. Specifically, the detective part. And my conclusions, as always, are based on the previous games in the franchise. And not only them. For example, in Breakpoint, this theme is explored quite a lot. But in the end, because of how the mechanics turned out, you almost never get that detective feeling. And to actually feel it, you literally have to roleplay and imagine things that aren't even there, instead of letting that feeling build up on its own. Like with Midas's case. A lot of people didn't even read those notes your character picks up. And honestly, I get them. The game gives you zero motivation to do that. At the same time, you'd think tactical games like Breakpoint are about using your brain, not just putting it in a jar of brine. And here's the thing, I'm not criticizing, I'm genuinely glad it's there and it's already cool, but seriously, don't the devs themselves get tired of all this content, notes, extras, just going unread? It's already awesome, just make it a bit sharper. Or take the same forest in Ubisoft games. Nominally, it's there, but in reality, it's just a strip of trees. You're unlikely to get lost or hide there from a chopper. The detective thread is kind of the same. It exists, but to really feel like you can use it to its fullest, you need more than just imagination. You gotta fill in the gaps the game leaves. And if Ubisoft takes a step in this direction in the next installment, we're looking at something truly genius. Just imagine, a player in the shoes of a military nomad, Ready or Not style milsim, with realistic weapon handling and attachments like a special forces or FBI operator, facing tense battlefield situations that feel like a true military drama that hit you emotionally as much as mechanically, switching between first and third-person view, like in the previous Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon games. And all of this isn't just the usual clear the island of bad guys. It's real detective work, finding clues, realistically hacking locks, brute force breaches of systems and databases, forming hypotheses, preventing war crimes, planning routes, interrogations, pinning evidence to a damn board with thumbtacks. Sure, there's that stat patter who'll download the game, play just enough to hit 10%, and then complain about Ubisoft. He passes right by. But the core Ghost Recon fan, they'll stay genuinely engaged and satisfied. And here are some examples to make clearer what I mean. They're also pretty weird, but try to look past the surface and focus on the core idea. The first example is Hidden Games, a real game you can play with real friends, where there are emotions, strategies, and the ability to actually interact with the system. Real websites, realistic cases, clues, hacked email accounts. And yeah, this isn't an ad, though it could be. The second one, Shadow of Doubt, indie, pixel graphics, investigations with prevent the crime before it happens elements, hacking elements, randomly generated cases. Looking at the investigation system, the atmosphere really works for the game, not against it, even though the graphics are, and there are tons of bugs. And the third example, Chinatown Detective Agency, hardcore realism. You plan trips, buy tickets, book rooms, a strong, I'd even say hardcore RPG aspect. The player really feels like a detective in a big, even if pixelated, world. And no, I don't want this to become a detective game under any circumstances. Ghost Recon should stay about recon. Recon means using your brain more than your trigger, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. But these are just a few examples I found. Maybe you could find others that fit better. The detective thread hinted at in Ghost Recon Breakpoint wasn't fully realized, and Ghost Recon 2026 could take it further, showing its real interactive potential, which, if Ubisoft takes a step in this direction, especially in Project Over, would be perfect. Shadow of Doubt looks awful, but it gives freedom of action. If they bring that kind of detective freedom into Ghost Recon with a Ready or Not vibe, it'll become the quintessence of what many people, including me, would want to play. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think.